The old woman slowly opened her eyes. She had just woken up from a nightmare. She sat up in bed and looked around the room. Everything was normal. She got out of bed and walked to the window. Outside, the wind was howling and the trees were banging against the glass. The old woman sighed. It was just a normal day in her village. She turned around and went back to bed. She pulled up the covers and closed her eyes, but she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the face from her nightmare. It was a pale, wrinkled face with sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. The old woman tried to make herself believe it was just a dream, but deep down she knew it wasn't. She got out of bed again and walked to the door. She opened it and stepped outside. Maybe some fresh air would help. The moment her feet touched the wet grass, she felt something hard and cold. At first, she thought it was a rock, but when she bent down to pick it up, she realized it was a human skull. The old woman screamed and dropped the skull. She quickly ran back inside and locked the door. She leaned against the door, trying to calm herself down. What was that skull doing in her garden? Why did she have that nightmare? Suddenly, she heard a knock on the door. She opened it and saw a little girl standing there. The girl was wearing a long white dress and her hair was covering her face. "Can I help you?" asked the old woman. The girl didn't answer. She just stared at the old woman with her glowing red eyes. Then she smiled and showed her sharp teeth. The old woman screamed and slammed the door shut. She leaned against the door, trying to catch her breath. Who was that girl? And why did she have glowing red eyes and sharp teeth? Was she the girl from her nightmare? The old woman didn't know, but she was scared. She looked through the peephole and saw the girl kneeling on the ground. The girl looked up and the old woman screamed. The girl was now wearing the old woman's face. The old woman was terrified. How did that girl get into her house? And what did she want? The girl stood up and knocked again. The old woman didn't answer. She just kept staring at the door. Suddenly, the door handle started to turn. The old woman screamed and hid in the closet. Whoever was out there was trying to get in. The door opened and the girl stepped in. She was no longer wearing the old woman's face, but her own. The girl looked around the room. "Where are you?" she asked. The old woman didn't answer. She was too scared. The girl walked over to the closet and opened it. "Boo!" she said with a big smile. The old woman screamed.